met Danny in September of 2012. We were engaged for 8 months and then married in 2015. He had 2 boys, Brayson and Brody. And of course, when we got married, I, kind of became an instant mom. We started trying to have a baby, and months went by and then years went by, and that was very hard and very stressful. And so finally, after 3 years of trying, I decided to seek my own fertility treatments, and that's when I went to Dr. Putman.
What did he tell you?
He said, let's try 3 IUIs first. They're faster, they're cheaper, and you are young, and he does have 2 kids. So let's see what happens, and then we'll go from there. This was our first IUI. I got my thumbs up because I was very positive. So we did the first IUI, and it failed. So then we did the second, and then it failed. And then we did the third in March, and then it failed. We knew the next step was IVF.
To watch your daughter struggle was something that should come naturally. Very, very hard. She called me countless times in tears. I'm not pregnant, I'm not pregnant, I'm not pregnant,
There's a lot of guilt from the standpoint that, your friends, your relatives, and everybody's like, well, when are you gonna get pregnant? When are you gonna have that baby? Everybody wants things to happen naturally, and that's just natural. But when they can't, then we are kind of the last resort.
What are some of the techniques that helped you to get through that?
Really just having lots of conversations with God and myself.
Tell me what that conversation with God is like.
It's trusting Him. That was hard. When you're going through things, you don't see Jesus in the moment, but when I look back, I really, I needed that. I needed Him to kind of shake me a little bit to realize that I can trust and lean on not only Him, but the people around me.
In vitro is trying to take a lot of information, monitor the patient's ovaries, and see what the response is.
This is me doing my first shot ever. I was very nervous. Here's all the medicines.
So once they've reached a certain point, then it's time for us to get the eggs. We will give them a special injection that will tell the eggs to get rid of half their chromosomes and get ready to be fertilized with the sperm. And then they'll come in to our in vitro retrieval suite, and they're under an IV sedation with an anesthesiologist, and then we have to use a transvaginal needle guided by ultrasound so we can actually go into each little sac where the egg is, drain the fluid, flush it, pass this through a window to Dr. Zhang in the embryology lab, and she'll look and tell me if I have an egg. We go to the next one. So that's how we get the eggs out.
This was egg retrieval day. My shirt says, retrieve, believe, conceive. I hate saying this, but it really is the truth. There is nothing that really prepares you for going through that. This is transfer day. I got my IVF Got This socks on. You go to Dr. Putman's office, there's this door with a code on it. I hardly ever see anyone go in and go out. And when we went in for embryo transfer, we got to go behind the door and do the embryo transfer. So I didn't really get to meet Dr. Zhang until that time. We actually got to look at our embryo before it got transferred. And they had the embryo right there on that little dish. That was really cool.
How do you help her create this idea of science and faith can actually live and coexist together and work together to create miracles?
Well, we've seen it, so we know it can happen. She did struggle with, what is God's will? Is it for me not to have a baby? Is it to have a baby? And am I going against God's will? And I told her, no. God wouldn't have put Putman in your life to do this.
We wouldn't know what we know without God helping along the way to reveal those things. So we always want to make sure that whatever we do is the right thing for them from their own spiritual perspective.
Dr. Putman and his team could tell me what medicine to take, when to take it, how to take it. They could tell me how many embryos lived and made it, so these are your chances, but they could never ever promise me when they implanted that embryo if I could get pregnant. That was always the unknown, and it always blew my mind that we have all this science and they can literally create life. They can create an embryo, but they can't promise me that it'll stick and that I will be pregnant. So that's when I knew, Jesus it's still in his hands. And there she is. Yeah, there's our first selfie. My first positive pregnancy test. This is when we told the boys we were pregnant. Priceless. This is how we told our parents. One more to adore. The week leading up to the gender reveal, my husband had a dream that we did the gender reveal and it was a boy. This is our gender reveal party. And this was our last visit with Dr. Putman and his staff. They gave me a little gift. It's precious. I never thought I'd cry leaving a doctor's office saying goodbye, but I didn't want to leave him. I wanted him to, he got me this far, you can't just leave me.
He's very knowledgeable for one thing, but just very calming. Just makes you feel like you're talking about all these things that you might not be real comfortable talking about. And he just makes you feel like you're just sitting in your living room, just talking with a friend. And aside from him, his whole staff, they're all just phenomenal.
So tell me about your daughter.
Breland is, she's something else. I've thought about in my head for a long time what my daughter would be like, because I always knew God would give me a girl. And I never pictured her. She's better than any image, any thought that I ever dreamed of.
Bree was perfect, and she's my little girl.
It's awesome seeing her and how small she is and getting to actually have a little sister.
I'm really thankful that she came to our lives.
It's the most amazing thing ever to hold her, and I didn't think I could love something as much as I love her.
So what's the moral of this story?
Don't give up on a dream. If you can't have children, because, I never dreamed that Mindy would have to go through this, but so worth it.
You ready for this hot mess?
Boy, am I ever.
I feel like infertility, it's almost taboo to talk about. And I just want women to know that you're not alone. Not everyone can have a baby the natural way. And the doctors and science are there for a reason to help you, because not everybody can conceive the natural way. And that's okay.